Hey, Anxious Thoughts here, coming at you with another video. It's time for us to get some of the other plants in the ground that just can't wait until next week. So, new semester starts next week, my new classes come in, but some of these things are really starting to take off, like this solar tower black. And it just needs to get in the ground because otherwise it's going to start causing problems when we pull it apart. We'll be breaking branches and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get this healed into the ground. It still leaves, well, over 1,000 plants for us to plant. So there'll be plenty of time for our students to get some stuff. So I'm going to treat this just like I do all of our other plant material. I'm going to be using my dibble stick to push up from the bottom of the plug tray. I'm going to sort them out, and then I am going to heal them into the pots. So let me get you situated there, and I'll let you just kind of watch the process as we go. All right, just like before, we're going to just kind of carefully separate our plugs. And this is one that requires just a little bit more care. The plugs are a little bit larger, and they're easy for these to get damaged. So that's why I'm just kind of going to work with these ahead of time to get them in the ground. So this is Solar Tower Black. For filler material in our baskets, use both Solar Tower Lime, which is that light yellow, and we use Solar Tower Black. Now, I'd prefer that we were using some of the original sweet potato colors, but those are harder to come by, and every time I seem to find them, the grower that has them seems to be sold out. And that's Limelights and Blackie. Now, when I say Limelights and Blackie are the originals, they are literally the original sweet potato vine that was used in flowering baskets. So I know I've mentioned it before, but if you haven't seen the video, I'll go ahead and repeat the story here and give you something to do while you're watching me plant these plugs. So many years ago, I think it was back in the 1990s, there was two gentlemen, and one of them, and I don't know if they lived near one another or if they just kind of casually knew each other, but there were two gentlemen that were both in the agriculture industry, and one of them was a nurseryman and one of them was a field crop grower and breeder. So one day the nurseryman was driving by the field grower's farm, and this field grower, one of the things he specialized in was sweet potatoes. Like, Thanksgiving sweet potatoes, the kind that are good and delicious to eat. And he had test trials where he was working on breeding different varieties of sweet potatoes, had his fields for those. Or they could have been in containers, I don't know. I'm assuming they're in containers. But anyway, he had his new varieties of sweet potatoes that he was looking to bring to market. And there were, lots of different varieties. And just like any breeder, you're going to keep what works for you and you're going to discard what doesn't work for you. So as this nurseryman was hanging out and talking to the sweet potato grower, he happened to look across the way and saw the discard pile, like the big rubbish waste pile, big mulch pile. And that was where that sweet potato breeder was dumping all of his stock that he'd created that just didn't fit the market requirements. Maybe it wasn't producing a vigorous enough vine, or it wasn't quite the right color, or it didn't have a large enough root for what they were looking for. But for whatever reasons, that breeder would go through and cull out plants from his breeding operation. And as they wrapped up their conversation, the nurseryman casually looked at the sweet potato breeder and says, "Hey, you mind if I just go look at your your discard pile there, your refuse, your mulch pit, some of those plants look kind of neat. And the farmer's like, yeah, sure, go ahead, knock yourself out, go ahead and do that. And the nurseryman was like, hey, well, do you mind if I take some of those? I mean, some of those look pretty neat. I think I might be able to do something with one of those. And the sweet potato breeder is like, yeah, they're useless to me. They're just garbage. You know, I can't do anything with that. So if you see something you want, you take them. So the nurseryman goes over and he finds two different sweet potatoes that really kind of catch his eye. And one of them had a dark black leaf with really deeply cut palmate leaves on it. So this shape here, this is lanceate. So it's like a lance or a spear, and palmate would be it's shaped like a hand. So it was a deeply palmate cut sweet potato and very dark black leaves. And then the other one that he found was this sweet potato vine that had really light colored leaves, and they were lime, and the thing almost looked sickly. It's completely healthy, it's just it was this weird lime color. And since the nurseryman had the sweet potato breeder's permission, he went ahead and he took those plants home. And that nurseryman just kind of had an idea and was like, you know, these look great. I think I can incorporate these into some of my planters and hanging baskets. So he took those plants and planted them up, raised them up so they were really large, took cuttings, made more plants, took more cuttings, made more plants, took more and more and more and more cuttings, until a little while later, that nurseryman released those two sweet potato vines as a brand new nursery product. And he called them Limelights and Blackie. And that first year, nurseryman looked at that and says, hey, that is a beautiful foliage. That is going to go great in my baskets. And they ordered them, and they ordered them, and they ordered them, and they cleared them out of stock. And the next year, it was the same reaction. And the year after that, it was the same reaction. And that greenhouse grower made his millions selling those sweet potato vines, and actually created a brand new category in the nursery industry, which is actually kind of difficult to do. So he brought to market the idea of putting sweet potato vine as a long trailer and foliage accent in hanging baskets. And for doing that, he got all the money from selling all the plugs. But there's kind of a sad part to that story too. You see, when you've got plant material, in order to patent a plant material and declare it your own, you have to be the one that actually physically bred that plant. So you had to do the crossbreeding work and the cultivating work, and be the one that physically designed that plant. You can't just simply go out there and grab a plant and say, hey, I'm going to patent this. The rules that govern plant patents say that you have to do work to it. It has to have some work that you've done in the breeding and selecting to make that plant. So that nurseryman who had brought forth this brand new category of nursery material was unable to patent that plant. All he could do was sell his cuttings. Conversely, that poor sweet potato breeder, since he had allowed that nurseryman to take him and wasn't the one to bring it to market, and he had freely given away his intellectual property, he got nothing. So all of that work and all that breeding, and he finally hit it big, And instead of a field crop sweet potato, he had bred a nursery sweet potato, and he got nothing. So, moral of this story is, if you design something, definitely patent it and bring it to the market. Even if you don't like it, someone else might see that and have a better idea how to use it. And they'll make their millions, and you'll miss out on your millions. That's just a little story. I don't know if those of you out there watching right now, realized that there was actually a really big industry in breeding and developing new nursery material. It's been a really weird kind of cutthroat business, and having been in it for my entire life, I have seen all sorts of different aspects of the nursery industry, and I've seen things come and I've seen things go, and I've seen new products arrive and new products disappear. And I've had some favorite ones. Remember in the 1990s, there was a company that actually put a bounty out for new types of plant material. And they put a challenge out to the nurserymen to come up with new plants, because the nursery industry had kind of gotten a little stale. We'd seen everything was out there. Everybody had petunias, and everybody had marigolds, and everybody had geraniums, but there wasn't just much new things that were exciting. And I don't remember which company put it out there, but one of the first things I remember was there was a bounty. I think it was like $50,000 or $100,000, but a pretty good sized bounty for the first person that could create a commercially viable white marigold. So marigolds are usually orange, deep red, yellow, all those shades in between. But there was no white marigold until this company put that bounty out. Sure enough, shortly after that bounty was out there, someone came up with a white marigold. In fact, there were a couple of different varieties of white marigold, and they were all based off of what are called Inca marigolds, which is a marigold style that was very, very popular in the U.S. in the early 90s. They've really kind of since fallen out of favor. I'd love to see them come back. I like them as a plant. But it wasn't an absolutely pure white. It's more of a cream color, but it was definitely a white marigold. And that went quite well. That's a pretty innovative way to get people to participate in your breeding program and help get new materials to put a bounty on it. Well, a little while later, there was another bounty that was put out there, a challenge to nurserymen. Someone was looking for another color plant that didn't naturally occur. The company put a bounty out there for yellow petunias. Right? So petunias have a yellow throat, but there were no petunias that the blossom itself was yellow. Sure enough, just like the marigold bounty, a little time passes, and the next thing you know, we've got yellow petunias, of which I've got a couple of varieties here that we're going to be growing this year that have yellow, or significant portions of yellow in them. Yeah, just wrapping up that tray. Yeah, there's a bunch of loss in that one. I got some solutions for that though. All right. I'm going to go ahead and tuck these in. Spin it like that. Okay. With these, it's kind of important I get these in the ground. I'm noticing that there's enough dead plant material on here that if I'm not careful, I'm going to get some botrytis set in. So we're kind of opening these up and get that airflow in. So anyway, there you go. There is planting Solar Tower Black, a sweet potato that is a great-great-grandchild of the original two sweet potatoes, Limelights and Blackie. Definitely one that's very, very popular in our baskets, and you'll get to see that as it's that long trailing element that I put in most every one of my baskets. Anyway, hope you're enjoying, hope you're learning something. Ag Teacher Thoughts out.